Hello book nerds, welcome to Bookshelf Bunny. I'm Kim and this is an indie author shout out. Hey guys, so I read a lot of indie authors. Through my Instagram, I get a lot of messages and people reaching out looking for an honest review on their books in exchange for usually a free copy. And some of these books that I've read have just floored me and really stood out. And this is only some of my favorite indie authors that I have come to know through that means. And one of them I actually know in person, and she did not ask for a free review. I just bought her books because I like them. But most of these are indie authors who reached out to me asking for a review at some point or another in time. And I genuinely enjoyed their work. So I just wanted to shout them out, throw their works out there into the universe. Again, I've done that a few times. And I really appreciate them because I also enjoy writing. And I haven't published a book yet. I've only in my life published one little short story. But it's scary putting your work out there and having people read it. And they work hard. Writing's not an easy thing. And so from time to time, I just like to build up the indie authors of the world. So I'm going to jump into it here. The first one, and they're not in any particular order. The first one I wanted to talk about was Emily Gallo. Now, I recently read one of her books, Bardo. Prior to that, I read a book of hers called The Last Resort. And both of these books feel very hopeful, and they have themes of second chances and found families and slice of life and nitty gritty. And the pace of the books tends to be on the slower side, but they are just cozy reads that leave you with a feeling of hope for humanity. So I'd recommend checking her out. These are her two books that I've read, and they're really, I loved them. Very well done. The next one I wanted to talk about was Merrill David. I read his Wicked Awake series, and he's got a couple other books out there that I haven't read yet, but I am interested in. And this author, he likes to write gratuitous, twisted horror. So if you're looking for a bloodbath and chaos, his are the books that you'll want to read. So check him out. Again, the Wicked Awake series. This one is kind of like a zombie apocalypse series. Really well done. I enjoyed it. It's craziness and fun. It's just good fun. I also wanted to talk about MTG Books. MTG writes like fantasy with vampires and alternate worlds. I really enjoyed it. She has a Terra Nova series. I've read Terra Nova and also its sequel, Terra Destra. Both are really good. I am hopeful for the next book in the series soon. This series features vampires and other worlds and adventure and a little bit of romance. So check out MTG Books and her Terra Destra series. Now, Daniel Munro, I have read two of his books so far. I believe he's got kind of an epic in the making right now. I know his third book is in process of coming out soon. It's going through its final stages of work where it's read by beta readers and stuff. So I'm very excited about that. These are the books. So the first book in the series is The Taste Beneath. The second book is Diseased Intention. Sorry, it's very shiny. And these two books, this series, it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic survival story where we follow a group, a community, just trying to survive and thrive in a world that has utterly fallen apart. And also, there is some really twisted bad guys. So check them out. This series is really good. I'm a big fan. I also wanted to touch on K.J. Sutherland. I've read one of her books so far. It was called Uniform Justice, and this book was a legal military thriller, and it was really well done. I very much enjoyed it, and I do plan on reading another book, second book in this series, Uniform Scandal. I'm hoping to read that this month, and I have high hopes for it just based on the first book. Next, I wanted to talk about Carol Harrison. She's actually someone that I know in real actual life. She writes a lot of devotionals, faith-based devotionals, but she also has a inspirational fiction series out there. First book is A Mother for Susannah, and this series, it has like pioneer feels and struggling to survive and find joy and leaning on their faith in order to make it through. And it's a really interesting series. It's told in like a series of flashbacks. So we have our main characters and they find information, journals, things that tell the story of the past. Really well done. Check out Carol Harrison's books as well if you're a big inspirational fiction fan. I also wanted to talk about this one. Now, she doesn't have her book available at the moment. I'm hoping one day she'll change her mind, but I totally understand why. It's scary to put your stuff out there. And especially if you feel like it is not everything it could be. But Jessica, it was good. Jessica Haas published a book called The Lakeside Cemetery. I was privileged enough to get to read it before publication, and then I read it again after publication. I really enjoy this series. It's like a supernatural thriller. It's a mystery, and I loved it. It was so well done. It's creative, and it felt just good. So if she ever makes this available again, scoop up your copy and read it. If she ever writes another book, I will also be scooping up that copy and reading it. So again, this is just a handful of indie authors that I've read. I've read so many more, and it was so hard to just kind of choose a few to talk about. So if I didn't talk about your book, maybe next time. There's so many out there that I like. I kind of picked this set of authors because they all write very different things. I am somewhat of an eclectic reader. I read across genres, although as you know, my favorites tend to be horror, fantasy, and sci-fi. So there's some of that in here as well. But I also like a good slice of life, and I like a hopeful story, and I like thrillers, and I'm a huge fan of post-apocalyptic stories. And I do like myself some inspirational fiction. So this was just kind of a selection of authors that pulled from those different genres. So again, check them out, read them. I'll post some links in the description below where you can find copies of their books. Support indie authors. Okay, book nerds, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you have any indie authors that I haven't talked about here that you recommend I check out? Okay, that's it for now. As always, happy reading.